There is a bottle of white vinegar sitting in your kitchen pantry right now that is worth more to your garden than half of what the chain garden centers will try to sell you this year. The same gallon of vinegar your grandmother kept on her kitchen shelf for pickling vegetables and cleaning windows has 11 specific uses in the American backyard that most modern gardeners have completely forgotten about, and that gardening books written in the last 20 years rarely mention. The reason they have been forgotten is not that they stopped working. The reason is that there is no profit margin in telling you that something you already own does the job that an expensive product would charge you $20 to do. 11 uses of household vinegar that genuinely belong in every American garden. All of them safe when used correctly. All of them inexpensive, and most of them practiced by experienced gardeners for generations before commercial garden chemicals existed. Some of them you may have heard about and used incorrectly, because the most commonly shared online versions actually contain dangerous mistakes that will harm your soil for years. A few of them are quiet, practical techniques that work better than the commercial product alternatives. And 2 of them are uses that will genuinely surprise you when you see what happens to your garden, your flowers, and your plants after you put them into practice. I am going to walk you through all 11, exactly how to mix each one, exactly what to use it for, and exactly what to avoid. Some of the information you have probably been told about vinegar in the garden is wrong, and I am going to tell you which parts so you do not damage your own yard following internet advice. I am also going to tell you which vinegar uses are genuinely worth your time and which ones are minor convenience tricks. And by the end of this video, you will have the complete honest reference for everything household vinegar can actually do in your garden, written for the woman who has been gardening for 40 years and deserves accurate information rather than recycled internet myths. The order matters. The 2 genuine surprises come later. Stay with me through all 11, because the last one alone is worth the entire video. Let's start with weed killing, the single most common use of vinegar in American gardens, and also the use where the most dangerous misinformation circulates online. Before I give you the formula that actually works, I need to give you a warning that most internet vinegar weed killer recipes do not include, and that warning is genuinely important. The popular online formula for vinegar weed killer combines white vinegar with table salt and dish soap. That formula does kill weeds. It also permanently sterilizes the soil where it lands. Salt does not break down. Salt does not wash away. Salt accumulates in soil over years and prevents anything from growing there for seasons or decades. If you spray a vinegar salt soap mixture in a garden bed, anything you try to plant there afterward will fail. If you spray it near a foundation planting, the runoff can reach the root zone of your shrubs and trees and slowly kill them. If you spray it along a fence line where the soil borders a flower bed, the salt will migrate underground and damage the bed. Salt in your weed killer is a permanent decision you cannot undo. The safe formula is the same recipe with the salt removed entirely. 1 gallon of white vinegar mixed with 2 tablespoons of liquid dish soap. The vinegar kills the top growth of the weed by drying out the leaves. The dish soap helps the vinegar stick to the foliage instead of running off. The mixture works best on a hot, sunny day when the vinegar will evaporate quickly after contact. Spray the weeds thoroughly until the foliage is wet, avoiding spray on any plant you want to keep alive. Within hours, the sprayed weeds will brown and die back. Within 2 to 3 days, the top growth will be completely dead. Important honest detail. Household vinegar at 5% acetic acid kills the top growth of weeds, but does not always kill the roots of established perennial weeds, like dandelion, thistle, or bindweed. For those plants, you will need multiple applications across several weeks to exhaust the root reserves. The technique works best on annual weeds emerging in cracks of walkways, patios, gravel paths, and driveways, places where you actually want nothing to grow at all. Use it sparingly in garden beds, never near plants you want to keep, and never with salt added. Next, ant repellent. The household problem every American homeowner deals with at some point. Ants finding their way into the kitchen, ants congregating around pet food bowls, ants forming long marching lines along walkways or porch steps. White vinegar handles ant problems through 2 related mechanisms, and the technique is genuinely effective when applied correctly. The formula is equal parts white vinegar and water in a spray bottle. The mechanism is twofold. First, spraying the solution directly on visible ants kills them on contact within seconds. Second, and more importantly, vinegar disrupts the chemical scent trails that ants use to communicate with each other. When a scout ant finds food and returns to the nest, the path she walks is marked with pheromone scent trails that other ants follow. Spraying vinegar along that path destroys the scent markers, and the other ants lose their way back to the food source. Spray the vinegar-water mixture along ant trails you have observed, around entry points where ants come into the house, around the base of pet food bowls, without spraying the food itself, along porch steps and doorway thresholds, and around outdoor garbage cans. Reapply every few days during peak ant season, typically late spring through early fall in most of America. The vinegar smell dissipates within an hour and is not noticeable to humans after that point, but the ants continue to avoid the treated areas because their scent communication has been disrupted. Cost reality. A gallon of white vinegar at the grocery store runs about $4. The same gallon makes approximately 120 refills of a 16-ounce spray bottle of ant repellent. Compared to a commercial ant repellent spray at roughly $9 per bottle, the savings across a single ant season add up quickly. The vinegar solution is also safe to use around children, pets, and food preparation areas, which the commercial sprays often are not. Seed germination boost. The technique most experienced gardeners do not know about, but that has been used by professional growers for decades to wake up stubborn or older seeds that struggle to sprout in normal conditions. The principle is straightforward. Many seeds have hard outer coats that protect them from premature germination, and those coats need to be softened before water can reach the dormant embryo inside. The method works particularly well on seeds known for poor germination rates. Old packets of seeds left over from previous years, hard-coated seeds like morning glory and nasturtium, parsley seeds, notoriously slow, beet seeds, and any seed packet that has been sitting in storage for more than 2 seasons. The formula is genuinely simple. Fill a small bowl with about 1 cup of room-temperature water. Add 3 to 5 drops of white vinegar, just enough to slightly acidify the water without making it overly acidic. Stir gently. Place the seeds in the diluted vinegar water and let them soak for 4 to 6 hours, or up to overnight for very hard-coated seeds. The mild acidity helps soften and break down the protective seed coating. After soaking, drain the seeds, do not rinse them, and plant immediately into prepared soil at the appropriate depth for that seed type. Water normally, and keep the soil consistently moist until germination occurs. Expect sprouting in roughly half to 2/3 of the time the seed packet indicates as standard germination time. Cost reality. Seeds at the garden center run anywhere from $2 to $5 per packet, and the productive, viable life of stored seeds drops significantly each year. The vinegar germination boost effectively rescues older seed packets that would otherwise be discarded. Across a full gardening season of starting seeds, the technique pays for itself many times over by allowing you to use seed packets from 2 or 3 seasons ago that would otherwise be thrown away. Once you have done this a few times and seen seeds that did not germinate the previous year suddenly come up vigorously after the vinegar soak, you will keep using the technique permanently. The technique works especially well on a specific group of seeds with hard outer coats. Morning glory and moonflower seeds, both notoriously slow to germinate without scarification, sprout dramatically faster after a vinegar soak. Parsley seeds, which typically take 14 to 21 days to germinate using standard methods, often sprout within 7 to 10 days after the soak. Beet and Swiss chard seeds, which are actually clusters of seeds within a hard fruit, separate and germinate more reliably. Nasturtium seeds, with their thick outer hulls, respond particularly well. For the leftover seed packets from last year that you were not sure would still produce, the parsley you bought in spring and forgot about, the morning glories from 2 seasons ago, the moonflower seeds from your sister-in-law, the vinegar soak gives them one more genuine chance at germination before you throw them out. Fruit fly trap. The simplest and most effective fruit fly control method in American household kitchens, and one that uses apple cider vinegar specifically rather than white vinegar. The mechanism takes advantage of the natural feeding behavior of fruit flies, who are drawn to the fermented sweet smell of apple cider vinegar from across an entire kitchen. The formula is apple cider vinegar combined with a few drops of liquid dish soap, served in a small open container. A small jar, a shallow bowl, or a ramekin works well. Pour about half a cup of apple cider vinegar into the container. Add 3 to 5 drops of liquid dish soap. Do not stir vigorously, just give it a single gentle swirl. Place the container near the source of the fruit fly problem, usually the kitchen counter near a fruit bowl, near a compost bucket, or near sink drains where fruit flies often breed. Here is the mechanism. The apple cider vinegar smell attracts fruit flies from across the room. They land on the surface of the liquid, expecting to feed. Normally, the surface tension of water would allow them to stand on the liquid without sinking, the way water striders walk on pond surfaces. The dish soap breaks the surface tension entirely. The moment the fruit flies touch the liquid, they sink immediately and drown. Within a single day, a small bowl of this trap will typically capture dozens of fruit flies. Within 3 days, the entire population in a kitchen is usually eliminated. Cost reality. A bottle of apple cider vinegar runs about $3 to $5 and provides enough material for dozens of trap refills. Compared to commercial fruit fly traps, which run $6 to $12 each and typically last only a few days, the homemade version is dramatically cheaper and equally effective. Empty and refresh the trap every 3 to 4 days during active fruit fly season, and dispose of the captured insects in the garbage rather than the compost bucket. We are 4 uses in, and so far we have covered the practical workhorses, the vinegar techniques that solve specific household and garden problems reliably. The next use is the first of the 2 surprises in this video. It is the use that turns a $5 grocery store bouquet into 3 weeks of fresh flowers on your kitchen table instead of the 7 days the flowers would normally last. And it is the use that most florists know about, but most home gardeners have never been told. Use number 5. Cut flower preservative. The single most powerful use of vinegar in any American home, and the one that genuinely surprises everyone who tries it for the first time. The standard grocery store bouquet of fresh-cut flowers typically lasts about 7 days on your kitchen table before the stems begin to rot and the blooms start to droop. The same bouquet, treated with this formula and refreshed every 3 days, will routinely last 2.5 to 3 weeks. I have personally kept grocery store roses fresh and beautiful for 19 days using nothing but the formula I am about to give you. The formula has 3 ingredients: 1 liter of plain tap water, 2 tablespoons of white vinegar, 2 tablespoons of regular white granulated sugar. Stir until the sugar is completely dissolved. Pour the mixture into your flower vase. Cut about 1 inch off the bottom of each flower stem at a 45-degree angle, so the stem cannot sit flat on the bottom of the vase and seal itself off, and place the flowers immediately into the prepared water. Here is why this works. 2 things kill cut flowers prematurely: bacteria growing in the vase water and lack of nutrition to the stems and blooms. The vinegar lowers the water pH and dramatically inhibits bacterial growth, preventing the slimy buildup at the bottom of the vase that normally clogs the stems within 3 days. The sugar provides the simple carbohydrates that the cut stems would normally have received from the plant's root system, sustaining the flowers and keeping the petals firm. Together, the 2 ingredients address the 2 main causes of cut flower decline, and the result is genuinely remarkable. Refresh the mixture every 3 days. Empty the vase. Rinse it briefly with clean water. Mix a fresh batch of the formula. Cut another 1/2 inch off the bottom of each stem at the same 45-degree angle. Return the flowers to the fresh mixture. Done correctly, a grocery store bouquet you bought on Sunday will still be beautiful and fresh-looking the 3rd Sunday following. The savings compound across the year. A household that maintains fresh flowers on the kitchen table weekly is spending roughly $5 to $8 per bouquet, which adds up to $250 to $400 per year. Tripling the lifespan of each bouquet effectively cuts that cost by 2/3. This is the single use of vinegar that pays the largest dividend in genuine quality of daily life. Worth knowing which flowers respond best to this treatment. Roses, carnations, and chrysanthemums respond dramatically. These are the workhorse cut flowers that you will see the most extended lifespan from. Lilies respond well, particularly Asiatic and Oriental lilies. Sunflowers benefit substantially. Tulips and daffodils respond moderately. The cut flowers that benefit least are very soft-petaled flowers like peonies, ranunculus, and sweet peas. These have shorter natural lifespans regardless of preservative method. But for the standard grocery store bouquet that combines roses, mums, and filler greenery, the formula is genuinely transformative. Your grandmother almost certainly knew some version of this technique. The specific ratio of vinegar and sugar may have varied. Some old recipes use a teaspoon of bleach instead of vinegar. But the principle of feeding the flowers while preventing bacterial growth has been part of American household knowledge for over a century. Cleaning clay and terracotta pots. The accumulation of white mineral crust on the outside of clay pots over years of use is a problem every long-term American gardener recognizes. The white deposits come from minerals in your watering water that build up on the porous clay surface over time. The accumulation is harmless to plants, but the pots become visually ugly and look neglected even when the plants growing in them are healthy and beautiful. The formula is 4 cups of warm water mixed with 1 cup of white vinegar. Pour the mixture into a clean bucket or basin, large enough to submerge your pots completely. Place the empty stained pots into the solution and ensure they are fully submerged. Let them soak for at least 30 minutes, or up to several hours for severely encrusted pots. Remove the pots from the solution and rinse them with clean water. The mineral deposits will have dissolved during the soak, and the pots will look freshly clean. For pots too large to submerge, soak rags or paper towels in the vinegar solution and drape them over the stained areas. Replace the wet rags every 20 minutes for an hour or two. The mineral crust will gradually dissolve and can be wiped away with a clean cloth. The result is the same as the soak method, just slightly slower. Either approach restores the warm orange-red color of healthy terracotta and removes years of accumulated deposits in a single afternoon. Cost reality. A bottle of commercial mineral remover at a garden center runs about $12 to $18 and is designed for exactly this purpose, with essentially the same active ingredient. The vinegar version costs roughly $1 of vinegar per cleaning session. For a gardener who owns even a modest collection of clay pots, say 20 pots between containers, herb pots, and decorative planters, the savings across the lifetime of the collection are substantial. Most experienced container gardeners clean their pots once or twice a year, and switching to the vinegar method saves roughly $50 to $100 per year on commercial cleaners. Bird bath and water fountain cleaning. The weekly maintenance task that becomes essential during summer when algae blooms quickly turn bird baths from sparkling clean water features into slimy green hazards for the visiting wildlife. Standard commercial bleach-based cleaners work but leave chemical residues that can sicken or kill the birds you are trying to support. Vinegar is the safe alternative that does the same cleaning job without the wildlife risk. The method is direct and simple. Once a week during warm weather and every 2 weeks during cooler weather, empty the standing water from the bird bath or fountain basin. Use a stiff brush to scrub the entire interior surface. Pour about a cup of white vinegar onto the scrubbed surface and continue scrubbing for another minute or two. The vinegar dissolves algae buildup, kills bacteria, and removes mineral deposits simultaneously. Rinse thoroughly with clean water until the vinegar smell is gone, then refill with fresh water. For fountain pumps and the small mechanical parts of recirculating fountains, soak removable components in undiluted white vinegar for 20 to 30 minutes once a month to prevent mineral buildup inside the pump mechanism. This single maintenance step dramatically extends the lifespan of bird bath fountains and water features, which would otherwise have their pumps clogged and burned out by mineral accumulation within a single season of use. Cost reality. A bottle of commercial bird bath safe cleaner runs about $10 to $15. The vinegar method costs about 50 cents per cleaning session. More importantly, the vinegar leaves no chemical residue that could harm the birds. For a homeowner who maintains a bird bath specifically to attract songbirds and goldfinches and cardinals to her yard, the safety dimension matters as much as the cost dimension. The birds you have worked to attract should not be sickened by the products you use to keep their water clean. Worth knowing about the wildlife safety angle. American songbirds, cardinals, blue jays, mockingbirds, robins, finches, chickadees, titmice, drink from and bathe in standing water sources throughout the year, and their small bodies process chemical residues very differently from how human bodies process them. Trace amounts of bleach or commercial cleaners that would be invisible and harmless to a human can sicken or kill a goldfinch within hours. The vinegar method eliminates this risk entirely, because acetic acid breaks down completely into water and carbon dioxide within hours of being rinsed away. For the gardener whose primary reason for maintaining a bird bath is to enjoy the daily visitors at the kitchen window, the choice of cleaner is genuinely a choice about whether to support or harm the birds you love watching. Animal deterrent, the protection technique for keeping raccoons out of your trash, rabbits out of your vegetable beds, and roaming neighborhood pets out of areas where you do not want them. The technique works through olfactory disruption. The strong, sour smell of vinegar is genuinely unpleasant to most mammals, and they will simply avoid areas where they smell it concentrated. The method uses absorbent items as scent carriers. Take several old, clean cotton rags, sponges, or even cotton balls. Soak them thoroughly in undiluted white vinegar until they are saturated. Place the saturated items strategically around the perimeter of the area you want to protect, around the base of a trash can lid, at the corners of vegetable beds, near the entry points where rabbits typically enter a garden, or along the boundaries where you have observed wildlife traffic. Refresh the soaked items every 3 to 4 days, or after rain washes the vinegar smell away. The technique works particularly well for raccoons, who have extremely sensitive noses and will avoid the vinegar smell entirely. For rabbits, the effectiveness varies. Some rabbit populations are determined enough that vinegar alone is insufficient, and you will need to combine it with physical fencing. For roaming neighborhood cats, the effectiveness is moderate. Some cats are deterred and some ignore the smell completely. For dogs, the vinegar deterrent works on most dogs but not all. Cost reality. A gallon of white vinegar provides enough material to refresh the scent stations weekly, across an entire vegetable garden or trash storage area for the full growing season. The total cost is approximately $4 for the entire season. Compared to commercial animal repellent sprays at $15 to $25 per bottle, the savings are substantial. The technique is also entirely safe for the animals being deterred. They are merely uncomfortable, not harmed in any way. Soil acidification for acid-loving plants. This is one of the most common claims you will hear about vinegar in the garden, and one of the most misleading. I need to give you the honest picture before I tell you what vinegar can actually do for your acid-loving plants and what you should use instead for genuine soil acidification. The claim is that watering acid-loving plants like gardenias, rhododendrons, hydrangeas, azaleas, and blueberries with diluted vinegar acidifies the soil and helps them thrive. The reality is more nuanced. Household vinegar at 5% acetic acid is a weak, short-lived acid. When applied to soil, the acetic acid breaks down rapidly within hours and provides only a brief temporary drop in pH that does not last long enough to meaningfully change the long-term soil chemistry. Repeated applications can also disrupt the beneficial soil microbiology that acid-loving plants depend on for nutrient uptake. The honest formula. 1 gallon of water mixed with 1 cup of white vinegar provides a mildly acidic solution that can be used as a single application to give acid-loving plants a brief pH boost. Useful when leaves are showing signs of iron chlorosis, yellowing between green veins, and you need a quick temporary fix. But do not use this as a regular ongoing soil amendment. For genuine long-term soil acidification, the right approach is elemental sulfur worked into the soil in fall, or organic mulches like pine needles, oak leaves, and used coffee grounds layered around the base of the plants. These provide gradual, long-term acidification that vinegar cannot match. What vinegar can do effectively? The diluted vinegar solution is excellent for one specific job: neutralizing the alkaline buildup from hard water in container plants. If you grow acid-loving plants in pots and use municipal tap water for irrigation, mineral buildup gradually raises the soil pH over months. Watering with the diluted vinegar solution once every 6 to 8 weeks helps neutralize that mineral accumulation in containers specifically. For in-ground plants, stick with elemental sulfur and pine needle mulch. Tell the truth about what each technique actually does, and you will get better long-term results for your acid-loving plants. Slug and snail control, the nighttime garden pest that devastates hostas, lettuce, strawberry plants, marigolds, and dozens of other tender-leaved plants by silently eating holes in the foliage during the dark hours when the gardener is asleep. By morning, the damage is visible, but the slugs and snails are nowhere to be found, having retreated under mulch, beneath wood, or into damp, dark corners of the garden. The vinegar approach to slug and snail control works on direct contact. Mix equal parts white vinegar and water in a spray bottle. Walk through the garden in the early evening hours or after dark with a flashlight, when slugs and snails are actively feeding. Spray the solution directly onto any slugs or snails you can find. The acidic solution disrupts the mucus layer that slugs depend on for movement and eliminates them on contact within seconds. Important practical detail: do not spray the vinegar solution onto plant foliage. The same acidity that kills the slugs will damage tender leaves, particularly on plants like hostas, ferns, and lettuce. Direct the spray at the slug or snail itself, on the ground or on a hard surface, not on the plant. For severe infestations, combining the direct contact spray method with beer traps, shallow dishes of cheap beer set into the soil at slug level, provides better control than either method alone. Cost reality: a gallon of white vinegar handles a full growing season of slug control across a typical residential vegetable and flower garden. Total cost approximately $4. Compared to commercial slug control pellets at $12 to $20 per container, the savings are meaningful. The vinegar method also avoids the toxicity concerns of metaldehyde-based commercial slug pellets, which can sicken or kill pets and wildlife that consume them. For households with dogs, outdoor cats, or visiting birds, the vinegar method is the only responsible choice. We are 10 uses in, and the last one is the second of the 2 surprises in this video. The one I mentioned at the beginning that I needed to give you accurate information about, because most of what you read online is wrong. Stay with me, because what household vinegar can and cannot do for plant disease in your garden is genuinely worth understanding, and there is a technique within this final use that actually works dramatically better than most gardeners realize. Use number 11, natural fungicide for plant disease. And here is the second surprise of this video, in the form of a correction to most of what you have probably read about vinegar as a garden fungicide. The honest answer about whether household vinegar is an effective fungicide is mostly no, but with one specific application where it actually works dramatically well, and that application is the genuinely useful technique that almost no one online is telling you about correctly. What vinegar cannot do. Household vinegar at 5% acetic acid is not a meaningful treatment for active fungal disease on plants. If your roses already have black spot, your phlox already has powdery mildew, your tomatoes already have early blight, or your hydrangeas already have leaf spot, vinegar will not cure these infections. The fungal mycelium is already established in the plant tissue, and a topical acid spray cannot reach it. Most online recipes claiming vinegar cures fungal disease are simply wrong. The plants would have recovered on their own with proper watering, pruning of infected leaves, and improved air circulation, regardless of whether vinegar was sprayed on them. What vinegar can do, and this is the surprise. Vinegar is genuinely effective as a preventative spray applied to plants before fungal disease appears, used as part of a comprehensive disease prevention strategy. The formula that works is 2 tablespoons of white vinegar in 1 gallon of water, with a teaspoon of horticultural oil or mild dish soap added as a sticking agent. Spray this mixture on susceptible plants every 7 to 10 days during the high humidity periods when fungal disease typically develops, early summer for most American climates, late summer and early fall for late blight on tomatoes. The mildly acidic surface on the leaves discourages the establishment of fungal spores attempting to land and germinate. Here is the technique that genuinely works dramatically better than most gardeners realize. Combine the preventative vinegar spray with the most important fungal disease prevention practice in all of gardening, morning watering at the soil level rather than the foliage level, combined with thorough pruning for air circulation. The vinegar spray contributes maybe 20% of the prevention effect. The watering practice and air circulation contribute 80%. Together, the combination is genuinely effective at preventing the diseases that vinegar alone cannot cure. Tell yourself the truth. Vinegar prevents some disease establishment, but it is not a miracle. The miracle is in the proper watering and pruning practices that make your plants healthy enough to resist disease in the first place. Cost reality. The combined approach costs approximately $1 of vinegar per growing season for an average residential garden. The result is a noticeable reduction in fungal disease pressure across roses, tomatoes, phlox, peonies, and other susceptible plants, but only when combined with proper cultural practices. Anyone selling you vinegar as a fungicide cure is selling you a partial truth. Use it as part of prevention, not as treatment, and combine it with the watering and pruning practices that genuinely make the difference. 11 uses of household vinegar in the American garden. 2 of them are uses that will genuinely change how you keep flowers on your kitchen table and how you think about plant disease prevention. The other 9 are practical workhorses that quietly save you hundreds of dollars per year on commercial products that do the same job for 10 times the price. All 11 of them have been used by experienced gardeners for generations, and all 11 of them are worth knowing and worth using. Here is what I want you to take away from this video more than anything else. Most of the gardening industry is built on selling you products to solve problems that household vinegar and a few other pantry staples have been solving in American kitchens and gardens for over 100 years. The reason you have not been told this is not that the techniques stopped working. The reason is that there is no commercial profit margin in telling you to use what you already own. The honest grandmother gardening tradition in this country has always known what vinegar can do and what it cannot do. Tell yourself the truth about both. Use the techniques where they actually work and skip the marketing. Drop a comment below telling me which of these 11 uses you are going to try this season, because I read every comment and your answers shape what I cover next. Subscribe to this channel for more peer-to-peer gardening content, written for women who have been tending gardens for decades and deserve honest, accurate advice rather than recycled internet myths. The garden is yours. Use what your grandmother kept on her kitchen shelf and let it do what it has always done.